Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for taking time out of your day to join me and listen to Frontiers North webinar about our Big Five Safari. A little bit about sorry, just give me one moment here. Doesn't seem like the slides want it. There we go. I'm good. All right, folks. Sorry about that. As Charlie mentioned, my name's Grant. I'm the manager of sales and guest relations here at Frontiers North. And just a little bit about the agenda here that we're going to go through it. I'm going to try to keep it to approximately a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation. As Charlie mentioned, if you guys have questions throughout the presentation, please note them. And it's all about you folks. So anything you can think of, any questions, nothing's a bad question, that's for sure. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about who and what Frontiers North is all about, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Churchill region, and then wrap up with a kind of like a sample itinerary of our Frontiers North Big Five departure, which is the only departure in Canada that offers a Big Five safari, which is quite unique and different. So, a little bit about Frontiers North. So, Frontiers North, for over 30 years, Frontiers North has been offering expert guided journeys in Churchill, Manitoba that celebrate the wildlife, the history, and culture of this part of Canada's incredible north. We are a locally owned and operated family company. The Gunters, Merv and Linda Gunter, which they've attended many corroborees, have kind of stepped back from the company, and their son now, John Gunter, is our president and CEO. So it's a second-generation family moving company. We're specializing in venture travel in Canada, and in particular, Churchill, Manitoba. And at Frontiers North, we host our guests on expert-guided adventures into Canada's north. And our ultimate goal is to share with them the wildlife as well as the history, culture of the people of the north, and to do so in a responsible manner and to have our guests become invested in this amazing place. We deliver breathtaking nature experiences that focus on the wildlife viewing, the culture, the history. The north is a pristine wilderness. We travel responsibly to ensure it will remain that way for generations to come. But first and foremost, we are hosts, and that's what we specialize in. We are the tourism leaders. We've been recognized by several different Destination Canada awards, TIAC awards, and we're passionate about sharing Canada's north. One of the things that we are very passionate about is our corporate social responsibility, and we consider this to be a significant differentiator from our competitors, and it's important for us. We approach our social responsibility involves three areas. One is stewardship for the environment, caring for the people, and community involvement. And this was instilled into the company back when Merv and Linda Gunter started the company. And it's taken a leap forward when John joined the group. One of the other important parts of Frontiers North Adventures is the partnerships that we've created over the past 30 years. One of them being Polar Bears International. So Polar Bears International, we're platinum level sponsors of Polar Bears International. And what that means to you and your guests aboard every one of our Thunder Buggies during Polar Bear season, which is right now. Polar Bear season is October, November. A species expert joins us. And what a species expert is a polar bear curator, a person that's from a North American zoo that comes aboard our Thunder Buggies and educates the guests on polar bears and some of the challenges they might face. So it's pretty cool to have that on our trips. This is exclusive to Frontiers North. There is nobody else that offers these educational portions of the adventure with Polar Bears International. Another partnership we formed is with the Hudson Bay Company. And it's being true to our roots that the Hudson Bay Company was a huge part of Churchill. They were a trading post in Churchill, and that's how Churchill really became a town. Back in the day, the English and the French would trade and come across sea to the port of Churchill and trade. So our Thunder Buggy Lodge, which is set up during polar bear season, which we hope to have it set up year round, has a flavor of the Hudson Bay Company. And again, this is one of the only partnerships that the Hudson Bay Company has ever done. And our Thunder Buggy Lodge has that complete flavor and feel and atmosphere when you do attend a polar bear adventure at the Thunder Buggy Lodge. So a little bit about Churchill. Churchill has three main seasons. The first one being right now, autumn. Our autumn is October, November. This is when over 1,000 polar bears congregate in the area. It is known as the polar bear capital of the world. And then we have February, March, which is our winter season, and our Northern Lights peak season. But what I want to talk to you folks today about is our summer season, which is July and August. July and August, we have over 3,000 beluga whales that come in summer in the Churchill River, which is just an amazing experience. A lot of people ask, well, can I come to experience all three of the attractions that Churchill offers? Well, the only time to do that is during our summertime. During polar bear, during our beluga whale season, July and August, that's the only time the beluga whales are in Churchill. So they're not there in October, November, and they're not there in February and March. So to see all three, July and August is the time to come. This is also the time that the polar bears are coming off the sea ice. So you have the opportunity to see polar bears in the summer. And Churchill is also located right underneath what is known as the Aurora Oval. Being located under the Aurora Oval, we have over 300 nights of Northern Lights viewing. So again, best time to see all three, and not just necessarily are they the prime seasons for all three, is July and August. We have three different levels of trips: our adventurer level, our enthusiast level, and our specialist level. We do this simply to allow guests to pick and choose the different types of adventures they want to go on and the different level of adventure they want to go on. So an adventurer level is a self-guided trip. It's time and cost efficient. It's our most basic itinerary, and it's a larger size group. Where our specialist trips are just that. They're guided by photo or nature professionals. They're small size groups, and they're for the pro-amateur photographer, the person that wants to take literally thousands and thousands of pictures. And the specialist trips are meant for guests that want to spend the most time with wildlife. They're not too concerned about activities and other things like that. They want to be by the wildlife. But our most popular trip, our most classic trip, is our enthusiast level trips. They're led by a professional interpretive Frontiers North guide. They include additional activities in the community. They're medium-sized groups, and I'll talk about the different group sizes in a bit. They include all the activities. They include all your transfers. They include your meals, everything that you can imagine that is on a trip. It's like an all-inclusive trip. So going off our Big Five Safari. Our Big Five Safari is, like I mentioned, the one and only trip that is offered in Canada that can offer a Big Five Safari. And what we're doing is we're going into Riding Mountain National Park to see moose, black bear, and bison. Then we're going to head up to Churchill for beluga whales and polar bears. And that rounds out our Big Five. So to kind of dive into this, we have 4 departure dates for our Big Five, 2 in July and 2 in August. It is an enthusiast level trip, which is like an all-inclusive trip. Once you get to Winnipeg, we're going to take care of everything else for you. So Winnipeg is our gateway city. Your clients just have to get to Winnipeg. Once they get to Winnipeg, again, we're going to take care of everything. We're going to take care of their transfers. We're going to take care of their activities, their meals, and of course, the wildlife viewing safaris that we go on. So we're going to spend one night in Winnipeg. Clients are going to get into Winnipeg. We're going to spend one night there at the Inn at the Forks, which is located in our Forks district, which is a very, very trendy area. The morning that we wake up, we're going to attend the Manitoba Museum, and we're going to learn a little bit about the areas that we're going to go to. One is Riding Mountain National Park, and the other one is going to be Churchill. So guests are going to learn where we're going, why we're going there, and then we're going to head out. That morning, late morning, we're going to head to Riding Mountain National Park. So we're going to board a coach. It's approximately a 3-hour drive. It's a very, very scenic drive. There's tons of opportunity to see wildlife actually on the way out to Riding Mountain National Park. It's west of Winnipeg. We're going to spend 2 nights in Riding Mountain National Park. We're going to be at the Honeycomb Bed and Breakfast, which used to be in Riding Mountain National Park. It used to be the railway station. But what they did was they refurbished it and moved it outside of Ono, which is the town inside of Riding Mountain National Park. And this is what we're going to say. It's a very unique bed and breakfast. Again, tons of opportunity to even see wildlife at the Honeycomb. We're going to spend 2 nights there. But each morning and each evening, we're going to go out on driving safaris. So we're going to go out, we're going to be looking for black bear. We're going to be looking for bison. And in fact, where we go for our bison is a wildlife enclosure, which is a sanctioned area strictly for bison. So we go into there and we have actual very, very close encounters with bison. From there, we're going to also try and obviously see moose. But it's not just that wildlife. Those are the 3 big animals that we definitely want to see. But we have the opportunity to see porcupines, lynx, bobcats, white-tailed deer, beaver. It's just an abundance of wildlife that we have the opportunity to see, and it's just gorgeous landscape out there. After we spend our 2 nights in Riding Mountain National Park, we're going to head back to Winnipeg. Once we get back into Winnipeg, we're going to have 1 night stay again in the middle of our trip in Winnipeg, and then the following morning, we're going to head up to Churchill. We're going to fly up to Churchill. It's approximately a 2-hour flight to Churchill. Once we get to Churchill, we're going to check into the Tundra Inn. This picture is misleading. This picture was taken in autumn. During our Big 5 safari, it would be more greenery and not a white background. Something to note in Churchill, all the hotels in Churchill are locally owned and operated. They're very basic. The people that come to Churchill aren't coming for a hotel stay. They're coming for a wildlife experience. They're warm, they're cozy, they're safe, and they're clean. And that's the most important thing for our guests, is to make sure that that atmosphere is there for them. It does take a very basic look of them, is the rooms aren't like a Hilton. These are, again, remote northern community hotels that we work within. The town of Churchill is approximately 900 people. It's a very small town. It has a main street called Kelsey Boulevard, and you can truly walk Kelsey Boulevard from one end to one end to the next end, in approximately 15 minutes. And that's where all the hotels are, all the gift shops, all the restaurants, all the pubs, everything you need. All the attractions are also located on Kelsey Boulevard. Pardon me. But it's a unique opportunity to see what the northern community is. As much as we see vehicles in this one, during the summertime, it's mostly ATVs or quads that you see moving around the town of Churchill. So we're going to spend 1 full day out on the tundra in the Churchill Wildlife Management Area on a tundra buggy. Now, a tundra buggy, we were talking about the different size and mid-size group, large-size group, small-size groups on the different levels of departures. A tundra buggy holds 40 people. That's our maximum capacity. All the windows come down, they're heated, they're washroom equipped, they have a large observation deck, and as I mentioned, group sizes. So an enthusiast level trip, so the Big 5 Safari has a maximum size of 18 people per departure. That gives every single guest a window seat. It makes the adventure a lot more appealing, and the encounters you have with wildlife, it just makes it a lot more intimate. where our larger size group during our polar bear seasons, we have to do that just due to the fact of demand. But for the Big 5 safari, again, this is what you would typically see out on the tundra, and that is a tundra buggy. And we'll spend a full day, and obviously our full day, we're going to be going from the town of Churchill. We take a coach ride to our buggy dock site, which is approximately a 20-minute coach ride. Then we go on over 33 kilometers of trails. Now, these trails, we don't just jump on a tundra buggy and go blasting across the tundra. We go on a trail system, and this trail system, back in the Cold War days, the Canadian and U.S. military occupied Churchill. There was over close to 7,500 people that lived in the town of Churchill, and that was the military. And the reason why they were in Churchill were to conduct Arctic exercises. So these military exercises were all done on these trail systems. The cool thing was when the Cold War ended and everybody left Churchill, the Canadian military, U.S. military, all vacated, they left, and the cool thing here is that they left us these trail systems. So what we do now is we stick to these trail systems. The wildlife is so curious in the wildlife management area that they come to us. So we're very, very aware of how fragile this environment and the tundra is. So we abide by staying on these trail systems. But again, 33 kilometers of trail, that's a lot of trail to go through to find the wildlife. And of course, what we're looking for is polar bears. Polar bears during the summertime, they're coming off the frozen sea ice because it has melted or is melting. And they don't hibernate. Polar bears, they basically go into what is called a walking hibernation. So what they do is they just scavenge. They'll hang around the shorelines, which, like I showed in the previous slide there, it's part of our trail system. And they're waiting for opportunities. There's two tides that happen in Churchill. So a seal could come at high tide, fall asleep on a rock. Tide goes out. Seal isn't going out with the tide, and that gives the opportunity for a polar bear to feed. Hence, that's why they hang out in that area. But it's not just polar bears we're looking for at this time of the year during summer. We see caribou, we see Arctic foxes, we see Arctic ptarmigan, tundra swans, snowy owls, gyr falcons. There's just an abundance of wildlife during the summer. So that gives the guests the opportunity to see any type of wildlife on the land. But of course, we're going to do other activities. We're going to spend 2 nights in Churchill. During those 2 nights, we're going to visit. We're going to go to a dog yard, and at this dog yard, we don't do dog sledding. We do dog carting. Obviously, this is what the tundra and the boreal forest look like in Churchill at this time of year. Very, very alive, it's very vibrant, but we go on a dog carting adventure, very similar to dog sledding, but instead of a Comatech, which we would ride in, which has the skis, we go on a dog cart. Still, you get the same feeling of a dog adventure, a dog sledding adventure. We're also going to visit the Eskimo Museum, or the Zanetak Museum, better known now. We're going to go to Cape Mary, which was a battery, which was part of the Fort Prince of Wales, which I'll talk a little bit about. We're also going to visit the Polar Bear Holding Facility, or better known as our Polar Bear Jail. Churchill is world known for the protection that they give to bears and people. So the entire perimeter of Churchill is patrolled during the summer, winter, and autumn. And it's patrolled for bears that might want to come into town. So if a bear does approach the town of Churchill, there's a phone number you call, and or our Polar Bear Alert people are always touring around. And what they'll do is they'll honk the horn, they'll throw snowballs at the polar bear, they'll do everything they can to just deter the bear from coming into town. If the bear should want to continue to move into town, what they're going to do is they're going to dart the bear or tranquilize the bear. They're going to do it in a safe manner and in a safe area. Once they do that, it goes to Polar Bear Jail. Our Polar Bear Jail can hold up to 28 bears. It has a first in, first out kind of system. What we do is once a bear has been in there, and if the jail is full, the bear will be flown approximately an hour, hour and a half by helicopter north of Churchill. They tag it, and release it back out onto the sea ice. But again, we're going to view during the Big Five. We're going to go to all the top attractions in Churchill. One of the biggest one, and the reason why most people are coming to Churchill during this time of year, is for our beluga whales. As mentioned, over 3,000 beluga whales summer in the Churchill River. They're coming to calve. They're coming to feed. They come into the Churchill River because it's a fresh water. Hudson Bay is part of the Arctic Ocean, and Churchill River is a freshwater river, so the water is warmer. So that's where they come during their summer months. We're going to go out on a large Coast Guard approved vessel. This allows us to get high off the water so you can see all the pods of whales that are in the river. You still have the opportunity to get up close and personal with them, but it gives you a really good perspective of how many whales there are in the Churchill River. But we're also going to go across the river, and we're going to visit the Fort Prince of Wales, which is one of the oldest stone forts in Canada. It used to be occupied by the French and the English, and this is part of the culture and the history of Churchill. Churchill was part of a trading post, and it was the Hudson Bay Company trading with the French and the English that really built Churchill and created Churchill. So we get to go across there, and we get to see how the people lived back in the day when they were here. And then, of course, we're going to get back on the river to go see the whales. We're going to do two viewings of the whale. One, again, on a large Coast Guard approved vessel, but the other one, we're going to jump on a Zodiac. So we're going to get up close and personal with these whales. Zodiacs will go out in 8 people per Zodiac. So again, very, very small groups. You have an interpretive guide aboard who's your driver, very knowledgeable about the whales. You still also have the opportunity to see polar bears when we're on the water. The bears do like to hang along the shoreline. We do see the bears in the water. It's very common to also see that. But by Zodiac, what it does is, again, it's going to bring you much closer to the water and an experience that is very intimate. Manitoba is known for the abundance of wildlife we have and the proximity that we can get to them in a safe manner, whether it be on boat, on a Zodiac, or in a tender buggy. It's all about bringing guests up close and personal to our wildlife, again, in a safe manner. After we do all those activities and view all the potential wildlife that Churchill and Manitoba Riding Mountain National Park have to offer, we're going to take a flight back to Winnipeg. We're going to have a post night in Winnipeg, and then the following morning, the guests are free to leave at their leisure. So to kind of recap it all, we have 3 nights in Winnipeg. One is a pre-night. Then we go into Riding Mountain National Park for 2 nights, where we have the opportunity to see moose, black bear, and bison. We come back to Winnipeg. We have a middle night in Winnipeg. Head to Churchill, spend 2 nights in Churchill to potentially see beluga whales and polar bears to round out our Big Five. Head back to Winnipeg and have a post night, and that wraps the tour the following morning. As I mentioned, all your activities are included. It's like an all-inclusive trip. Once you get to Winnipeg, we're going to take care of everything else, your transfers, your meals, your activities, and, of course, the wildlife viewing. And that kind of wraps up things. I didn't want to take too long of your day, but I did want to introduce our Big Five Safari. It is as I mentioned, 4 departure dates, 2 in July, 2 in August, and hope to host many of your guests on one of these trips.
Grant, thank you so much.
Well, you're more than welcome.
Such a fantastic trip. I think everybody's saying, where do I sign up? Let's all go. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you. So everybody, the floor is open for questions. Please type them into the chat box. So Grant, we talked a bit earlier about whether these departures sell out, how far in advance do you recommend people book them? Can we book them now?
Absolutely, yeah. We're open for 2019 business right now. Our big five, like I mentioned, we had 4 departure dates. We are taking bookings on them. They are all confirmed departures. So, we take bookings. The thing with 4 departure dates, what the beauty of that is that one, if a guest, if they have a specific date in mind, if you book earlier, obviously you're going to secure that. These departures will tend to sell out, and if you're looking at our Big 5 Safari number 1, and if it's sold out, unfortunately, then that doesn't give you. So where it is more of a sense of urgency to secure the dates that you want to go on. That's the beauty of booking so far out.
Thank you. And if you could include those 2019 dates in the follow-up, that would be awesome.
I certainly will.
Thank you. Judy says, are breakfast and meals included in the cost?
Absolutely. Once you get to Winnipeg, all meals will be included. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. And we all know how good Canadian food is. Prepared to put on an extra couple of kilos, not just in your baggage, hey? Alrighty, I think that's all the questions, so we will sign off there. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. Thank you, Grant, so much for working the late shift in Winnipeg for us tonight.
Not a worry, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, and there will be some follow-up, so plenty of opportunity to learn some more. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks everyone.